this, but guess what? I didn't actually record this. I didn't hit record on the record button, but this time I did. I made sure that I'm looking at it right now. It says recording, so we're recording. That's good. All right. Anyway, the video I was trying to make today is all about piercings because I like piercings, if you can't tell. I just got a new but not new piercing right here. My Medusa, I had it previously, and then I had to have it redone because I had to take it out for some dental work, and the hole closed up because I hadn't had it long enough. Anyway, I'm going to have my good friend here, Brook, be the voice of reason, and then my good friend Monokuma here be the voice of treason. Anyway, these guys are going to kind of be like, the angel and devil on my shoulder. So, I want to get a new piercing, guys. Should I go to a reputable piercer? Should I, research somebody to have it done? Should I do it myself at home? I mean, I can order all of the items online, right? Or should I, I don't know, buy a piercing gun or something? Like what should I do, guys? Well, Indy, to be honest, you should definitely research a reputable piercer. There's tons of piercers everywhere. Close by, far away, you can have whatever piercer you want. But just be sure to do your research and make sure that they fit what you want.
Brooke, I don't see why we can't just do it ourselves at home. I mean, it's easy, right? Like, all you gotta do is get a needle and just poke yourself.
Well, actually, Monokuma, when you get a piercing done at a professional piercer, they're not usually using anything that's just gonna push the skin out of the way. When you get piercings done with a piercing gun at certain places, they're not really opening a hole and inserting jewelry. What they're doing is they're just shoving jewelry through your skin. It's kind of like making a tunnel for the car to go through, or just plain driving your car through. Which would you rather do?
Obviously, I would much rather have the tunnel there before driving my car through.
Well then, the same thing with piercings. You would much rather have the hole opened with a reputable piercer using a piercing needle and then inserting the jewelry in after, instead of using a gun yourself at home, using a safety pin, a sewing needle, or anything that isn't meant for piercing.
Well, but what if I just buy the setup myself? I can buy piercing needles online, and then I can buy the jewelry to put in there. I can buy everything that I need and do it myself and save some money.
Well, yes, you can do that, and you would be foolish to do so.
Why?
You see, even though there is no piercing college for you to go to, piercers still study things such as anatomy and physiology. They also study things like placement, and they also have pierced, usually by the time they get to you, if you've researched a reputable piercer, hundreds and thousands of people, so they kind of know what to expect. Do you know what to expect if you pierce? What happens if you hit a nerve, or a tendon, or a blood vessel? What if you don't know that that's not normal? Piercer is going to definitely know. So not only can they do the piercing for you, but you can go back to them for any questions that you may have.
Well, this still doesn't answer my question if I just buy the whole setup and do it myself at home.
Well, yes, you absolutely can do that. It's not really recommended though.
Why not? If I get the right piercing needle, to create the tunnel for the car to go through, then why can't I just do it myself at home?
Again, a reputable piercer, you're going to be able to go back and ask questions. You're going to be able to, go through the entire process with your piercer, from conception to fully healed piercing. Sometimes, some piercings, you got to put in a longer bar. In fact, you know what? Almost all piercings, you have to put in a longer bar than what you're actually going to end up with to compensate for swelling. Are you going to do that? Are you going to remember after you've pierced yourself to downsize or to actually put in a longer bar? Are you going to put in a small bar and then, have swelling happen and potentially get damage done?
Well, no, obviously I don't want that. But, I can save money by buying it myself.
Actually, Monokuma, by the time you've bought the entire setup, if you're going to do it right, you're spending about as much as it's going to cost to get it done at a studio. Now, you're probably going to buy some cheap piece of jewelry to put in there. Most piercing studios are going to pierce you with appropriate jewelry. They're normally charging you for the insertion and the jewelry. It might seem like a lot to begin with, but in the long run, you save yourself having to have a trip to the doctor, especially a trip to the ER if you do it yourself and something happens at like 3 o'clock in the morning. If your piercer has any sort of, reputation behind them, you should be able to contact them anytime. Maybe not during off hours, but if you had it done at a reputable piercer, there's less likely a chance for you to have anything go wrong.
Well, I see your point there, Brooke. I guess, Indy, it's a lot better to have it done at a reputable piercer than to do it yourself at home.
Don't worry, guys. I know that. I no longer need these guys to talk to, well, at this moment in time, so they're just gonna chill over here, and I'll go back on with the rest of the video. So, I did pierce myself a long time ago, right here in my belly button. If you can see the top one, right there, I did myself with, I'm gonna shine some light on the subject. Yeah. Right there. I still don't know if you can see it. You probably can, but just know, it's there. I pierced myself with a safety pin at home because I was 18, but I wanted to do it myself. Not a good idea. Don't pierce yourself at home. Don't use a sewing needle or a safety pin. Who cares about ice? Who cares about sanitizing it with isopropyl alcohol? Don't do it. Just don't do it. I could have saved myself a lot of heartache. I don't even like it. Like, I didn't even go deep enough. It was too painful. It took me an hour to push a freaking sewing needle through, and then I had to push some jewelry through. Just like, Brooke was explaining to Monokuma, you got to create the tunnel for the car to go through. But no, I was driving my car into that dirt road being like, I'm going to make a tunnel. Not a very good tunnel, but I got what I wanted. Didn't really like it though, so I ended up taking it out. That was when I started researching piercers and piercing studios. And what was my first actual piercing? I don't remember. It may have been my septum. It may have been my double vertical labret and then the one cartilage that's behind it. I think it was first the one cartilage and then I got my double vertical labret. I'm going to go with it was my septum first. And that was when I learned that there's a sweet spot to pierce in your septum, because if they don't pierce you in the sweet spot, they're piercing through the wrong tissue, and it, doesn't look right, doesn't hang right, has the potential for rejection. But when I went to this piercer, I was visiting my cousins in Arizona, and I was like, hey guys, I want to go get a piercing. I want my septum done. This was like 10 plus years ago. And they were like, all right, that's cool. So I researched a couple of shops. I found one. Usually I'm going to bougily look for somebody that is 4 stars and above, preferably 4.5 stars and above, preferably 5 stars and above, and not just with like one review, at least a couple dozen, preferably a couple of hundred, so that way I know that people aren't just being paid to do this, unless they're paying a lot of people to do it. And in that case, like, why did you guys spend all your money paying reviewers when you could have just took more time to be a better piercer so people could leave you good reviews? I don't know, maybe some people do that. Anyway, I found, they were probably like, I want to say 20 miles away, so I didn't just go to the first piercing shop I could find, and, the guy did it. It was super awesome, nice experience. Felt like I got punched in the nose. Most facial piercings tend to feel, to me, like a punch in the face, but then it's done and over with, and then bam, you got yourself a nice ass piercing. Now, the one thing I did do wrong was, after I got my septum piercing, I was taking Muay Thai, and as you know, you could potentially get kicked or punched in the face with Muay Thai. Ong Bak had just come out, and Tony Jaa was fucking awesome as shit, so obviously I wanted to do that awesome as shit, but I also wanted a septum piercing. So yeah, I went to training, and my instructor didn't know, because I had the little staple, the retainer, and it hung out just a little bit, but I still flipped it up in my nose so he couldn't tell. And I went and sparred with someone who was new, and I was just showing them placement for how to block, and they were very, very over enthusiastic, and I had to go Yeah, 3 5-minute rounds. I had gear, but still, the gear doesn't protect here. And she was going full force. I was like, look, just place the hits. You don't got to hit me full force because we've already been working out for like 2 hours. I'm tired as hell. You're super enthusiastic, but you're not. I'm not saying, yeah, I'm saying pull your punches. Like, you don't gotta, you just gotta get through my guard. That's it. I'm just showing you how to block because she didn't know how to block. Anyway, she punched full force because I wasn't blocking full force, and bloom, right into my nose. I knew how to matter of time before my nose started bleeding and my instructor knew that I had a piercing in, but you know what? After the fact, I still had to take it out, and when I got home, I spent an hour and a half with some needle nose pliers getting that shit back through. And I did, because I don't know how long I had the piercing, a couple of months maybe, so it was definitely still considered fresh. Yeah, never again. I just should have taken time off, but I didn't want to take time off because, you know, it was how I stayed in shape, and it was Ong Bak and Tony Jaa and Muay Thai and but you know, I've learned my lesson. That's also why actually a couple of my other piercings have closed up, because I had to take them out for x-rays and MRIs. My nipples I had to take out, and my hoo-ha piercing. Fun fact, you don't actually get the actual clit pierced. You get the hood pierced, and that's what I had done. I had to take that and my nipples out, and those, I had them for several years, so they weren't fresh. But when I took them out, they definitely closed up. Thinking about getting my nipples redone, thinking about getting a Christina piercing, another one that closed up, which I forgot to mention, was my Medusa. That was why I got it redone, as I already said before, because of my dental x-rays, but I got it redone. I didn't just try to shove the jewelry back through, which was what I did with my nose piercing. That is also something that I did when I got my back pierced. Now, this was when I actually started researching piercers, thoroughly, instead of just researching the best piercer in the area, like when I got my septum. I wanted my nipples done, so I was like, I'm going to research it because I don't want my nipples to fall off. So I researched the piercer, and the same guy did my nipples, he did my clit, he did my lower belly button, I believe he did my double labret, and then he did my back. I initially wanted 3 bars down the center of my back, a bloop, right here. But he was like, that's not a smart placement. And, I listened to him. So then we talked about it, and then we were settled with here. And, initially it went well. They were surface piercings, so it went in, under, and out. And one of them just didn't want to heal. No matter, and I'm very careful with my piercings. Not only do I research the piercers, but I research, the healing process. And it just didn't want to heal. I had it re-pierced twice because sometimes the jewelry would come out and it would literally immediately close up. I don't mean it came out, I noticed an hour later, oh shit. No, I mean it came out, I noticed it fall out, and I go immediately to put the jewelry back in, and it was like, nah son, you're not supposed to be pierced here. So I guess I listened to my body. I really liked the way the surface piercings looked, but I like where the scars are. So whatever, let's consider it kind of like scarification, but I had to go through a super painful back piercing to get it done. So anyway, yeah, don't try to shove your piercings back through, because I certainly did shove one of those back in, and that took, I want to say, probably like 30 minutes, but I don't do that anymore. That's why I just had this one redone, and I do want some more piercings. Since this was a redone piercing, it's gonna heal a lot quicker. That's what my piercer told me, and he's freaking right, because the first time my lip was hella swollen, like this, for days. Not days, like 4 or 5 days, but still, but now look, regular. I'm not Henry Cavilling, am I? My lip moves. It's not a $3 million mistake. So yeah, I got this redone. I'm gonna have it downsized once the swelling is finished. I mean, the swelling is, I feel, completely finished, but I'm still gonna wait 3 weeks to a month, and then have him downsize it, and then maybe I'll wait another month or 2, and I want double nostril piercings and double high nostril piercings. Now I'm gonna talk to my piercer about this, but I don't know if I should get just the double high and then wait and then get the double low, or if I can get all 4 at once. Normally you should get maybe 1, maybe 2 piercings at the same time. Most I've ever gotten is 2. My 2 verticals at the same time, my 2 nipples at the same time, my 2 back piercings at the same time. But since they're all going to be in the same area, I'm going to approach him and ask if it would be one of the exceptions to the rule to get 4. Now, most of the time they recommend 3 at the most. But this is all going to be in the same area, and I'm just trying to mitigate healing process. And yes, I am more than willing to go through the pain of having double highs and then double nostrils done at the same time. And yes, it'll be a little bit more of an increased cost because I got to pay for all 4 pieces of jewelry and all 4 piercings. But you know what? If I can save myself having to come back in 6 months and just get all 4 done at once, I could maybe kill 4 birds with 1 stone. 4 birds, 1 stone. 4 birds, 4 stones? No, that's how many it would normally take. We're trying to do, the cool thing. So yeah, that, and then I also kind of want my bridge done, but I just moved my face too much to get my bridge done, probably. So it's probably not a good idea for me to get it done. But the high nostril piercings will allow me to hang a cool little chain to kind of be a little faux bridge piercing, because I just kind of dig that tribal look. I don't think I want any more. I did want a unicorn piercing, but again, I just moved that area too much, so I went with my eyebrow, and I went on this side because I have a little beauty mole over here that I didn't want to interfere with. I might get some more of my ears. I definitely want my traguses done. I definitely want my ears gauged. Fun fact, I got my ears pierced when I was probably like 2 months old, but my mom, excuse me, gross. My mom and her sisters all pierced their own ears, back in the 60s. So that was just the thing you did back then. I probably need to get my ears pierced at, I would say this is like a 20. So I probably have to get them pierced at like an 18 or 16 and then start my gauging journey from there, because none of the tapers start at 20 or 18. They all start at 16, but that's okay. But yeah, tragus, gauging, and do I want anything else? I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? I might even want my ears pointed. So the gauging I can do, but any other piercings up here are probably going to get messed up if I get my ears pointed. And the only reason I kind of want my ears pointed is because when I was researching getting my tongue split, just like when I was researching getting my nipples pierced, a lot of people who had nipples also had their clit, and then that was what interested me in getting the clit done. I was researching my tongue, and a lot of those people have the same body modification as having their ears pointed. Now, tongue didn't cost anywhere near as much as it'll cost to get the ears done. The ears are also going to be a much longer healing process, and they aren't necessarily going to look the way that I want them to look. They just kind of have to shape and sculpt them, and then after healing, that's what you have. And then ears are done usually 1 day at a time because, time constraints. And I also probably have to travel hella far to go get them done. So that's just, further on my radar. Furthest, ear pointing, tattoos that I want, and in the here and now, I want to get some more piercings. And those piercings are going to be quadruple nose piercings. Technically, double and double, but like I said, I'm going to talk to my piercer and see if he recommends having them all done at once, because they're all in the same area, just to expedite healing and having to come back in like 6 to 8 months after the initial 2 have healed. And then, of course, gauging my ears, because I want to do that. And then, I think I said I wanted to get my nipples redone. I really dug the way they looked. And then getting a Christina piercing. A Christina piercing kind of sits on the mound of your pubis if you're a female, like a surface piercing. They do have a bit higher, well, not bit higher, a lot higher rate of rejection than clit, but not that I don't want to get my clit redone. It's just I like the way the Christina piercings look, and now that piercings are becoming more and more prevalent and more accepted, I'm starting to see piercings that I didn't see before. So yeah, I guess that's gonna be my piercing journey. I just wanted to share that with you guys and share a little tidbit of not piercing yourself at home and researching your piercer and listening to your piercer instead of listening to yourself. Because what do you know? Unless you are a piercer or unless you've researched it, you probably know 2 things: jack and shit. So, it shouldn't be a blow to your pride that you can't do something. Let somebody else do it if it's their trade, and research and make sure that they know what they're doing. Look at their reviews. Make sure they don't got bad reviews that are, reflective of them being an incompetent piercer. If they got bad reviews because somebody's just upset because their butt hurt, I take those with a grain of salt. But if everybody else gives raving reviews like, oh, this person was awesome, oh, this person, helped me through my entire piercing journey, I had a really good time with this person, then, you can't please everyone. So those negative reviews I ignore. But if all the reviews are saying, this person doesn't know what they're doing, actually, before I end this little tidbit, I had underneath my tongue pierced. I don't have, what's it called? I think a frenulum anymore, because when I got my tongue split, they cut my frenulum so that my tongue can hang a little bit lower. But anyway, I had underneath my tongue pierced. I also had a tongue piercing. Another fun fact, if you're going to get your tongue split, don't get a piercing, because they're just going to cut the scar tissue out. And even though I didn't feel it, because you don't feel stuff inside your muscles after it's cut open, it's still uncomfortable to think about. But yeah, I had underneath pierced, and they gave me, the shop that I went to is the same shop that I got my first tattoo at, that took an hour and a half, that shouldn't have taken an hour and a half. I love the fuck out of my wolf tattoo, but he definitely scarred me up. I must have been one of his first guinea pigs. But yeah, I went to the same shop to get underneath my tongue pierced, and she put the size jewelry in that should have been changed out several weeks later after the swelling had gone down. Long story short, I got home, my tongue kept swelling and swelling and swelling around the jewelry. I couldn't get it out by the time I realized something was wrong, and then I had to go back to her immediately the next day with my tongue swelling in my face. Now that ain't cool, because my tongue could have swole and my throat could have closed and I could have died. And that is why you research your piercers, and that is also why you don't do it yourself at home. I think my friend back in high school pierced his own tongue, and that shit was turning purple and blue, and it was so swollen, and we were like, dude, take it out. But hey, you want to be the cool kid in high school? Go right on ahead. Or write that on your obituary when you was dead. I'm just kidding. I really hope you don't take it that far. Just please listen to your body. If your body's telling you no, listen to it. It knows a little bit better than you do. Even if you think it should work and it doesn't, maybe you're just not simpatico with it. Just like one side of my back was okay with the piercing and the other side was like, nah, son. I had to listen, and I didn't want to be lopsided, so I just had to take the other one out. Anyway, this was a not very quick video, but guess what? It doesn't matter, because this was supposed to be one of my long videos, and until next time, I will talk at you friends later. Remember, I'm rooting for you. If you don't have anybody else in your life that's rooting for you, there's at least one pup.